my name's Matthew. This is the interview with Kristian from Xentrix.
Yeah,
Hello, Kristian. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Yeah,
Good,
good.
good, good. So I believe you are back with a new album that's coming out soon called Seven Words. Excited?
Yeah, well, I'm always excited. That's another story. But yeah. I mean, it's great for us to be like, still churning out music. Really, it's incredible. Really, I'm amazed myself that we get it together to actually we go and write and record records in our with all the stuff we've got going on. So yeah, and really pleased with it. It's like it feels like the first record this band's done properly, as in
Right.
with this lineup, because
Yeah.
the last one was kind of pre-done when Jay came to start singing.
Okay.
So he actually redid the vocals. So this is the first one that he's written most of the lyrics for on this one. So
Oh, right. Okay.
which I'm really pleased about, because A, it's one less thing for me to have to do, and B, it's he's got to sing the things. So I'm happy that if he's got to sort of like sing them with conviction, that he's written
Yeah.
about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. So how's that whole writing process taken place? Is it a case of you come with some riffs, he'll come with some lyrics, or how we managed to do it this time round?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, because we started in lockdown, so as probably most bands did when lockdown happened, everybody just went, right, I'm going to write a new record. So yeah, so we started like that. So we were, I mean, we've got the technology is our friend at the minute, so we can use all the little gadgets and record quite good demos at home now.
Yeah.
And send them backwards and forwards, and that's how basically how we did it. And then we'd meet up when the restrictions allowed us. We'd meet up in he lives in Bristol.
Oh,
So I'm a
right.
bit north, so I'm in Lancashire.
Yeah.
So we'd meet in Birmingham and get a studio there and do some
Yeah.
recording, get the vocals down and that. And then the rest of us would meet up and knock it out together. But yeah, it's kind of like together but disjointed. But technology allows you to. You don't. In the past, everything would be done all together in one room, which is nice.
Yeah.
And that's probably how we'd like to do stuff, but just the way things work these days, it's a lot easier, and you just have to use the technology to its best.
Yeah.
And it's good.
True.
It's a good way of doing it in some ways.
Now, I've been quite fortunate that I've had a sneak preview. I'm going to be writing the review for the album when it comes out.
Okay.
When it comes out, and I have to admit, I'm loving the stuff. I think Spitcoin, I particularly love, and some of the riffs I've written down. Everybody loves you when you're dead, and Records with a Smile. I love those riffs inside that.
Right.
They are absolutely superb. What was the thought process then behind Everybody Loves You When You're Dead? What's the thought process with that one?
As in lyric wise?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, you're asking the wrong bloke, because I didn't write that one.
Oh, okay. Let's skip that question. Let's go to one that you wrote.
In fact, there's only one that I did write on that song. I do know what the sort of ideology behind most of them are, because I've asked him. Although Everybody Loves You When You're Dead is basically what it means. It's about if you're you better hope that, because everybody thinks you're all right once you're gone, because nobody likes you at the minute. So that's the basic pretext of that. There's Reckless with a. Let me get the titles up. So the one I wrote was Anything But the Truth, which is probably one of the more obvious lyrically ones. It's about all the misinformation that was going on, particularly at the time, with COVID, and how everybody can just looking for things online to believe, and I find it incredible, really. At the time, I was amazed at the things people would believe, just because they read them on the internet.
Yeah, it was a crazy time, wasn't it? Crazy for everybody. You're locked in your house. You had 1 hour a day to go out. And I suppose as a musician, it was like, how can I put something down on paper, wasn't it? And I suppose is that what it came out of?
Yeah. It was just a sort of an idea that popped in my head, and I thought, oh, that might like a good lyric, just give them anything but the truth, because that's what it felt like. Everything was coming out. Nothing was the truth,
It was all mad, wasn't it? It was a crazy story. But do you think being in lockdown helped you creatively as a band, or?
Yes and no. I mean, yes, because you sort of put in that position where you've got you've nothing else to do, no more distractions, so you can. Apart from drinking, obviously, that was a big distraction.
which is never a good thing. Too much drinking, is it?
No, I know. But that was one of the things that I seemed to do quite a lot of during lockdown. But yeah, you've not got the day-to-day distractions, so that was quite good in that way. But you miss that sort of like interaction with everyone when you're writing with a band, and I used to like that. But you just got to get on with it and just get the thing done and crack on with it, and that's what we did. Really,
that's true. With the whole writing process, obviously, going back to 1990 for Whose Advantage, it's still seen as one of the classic British thrash albums. Do you find yourself ever reverting back and going, oh, what if I can just pinch a little bit of that once again? Or does that not come into your mindset when you write new stuff?
No, I never think, oh, I'll do one like this. With me, I generally don't think too much about when I'm writing. It's just stuff just sort of happens. I always say these riffs are just floating around in midair, and my brain just tunes into them. And that's just literally how it happens. I'm never sort of creating it myself. Really, they just kind of like form together, and I'll sort of piece them together. So I never really, I never really sort of. If somebody did actually say to me on another interview the other day that they listened to this album, that they thought that the one before was like a different Xentrix album, and this one felt like we'd gone back to the beginning. And I was like, oh, right, really? He was like, it sounded like more like the first album. So I was like, well, cool. I said that is just, it's a complete happy accident. There's no rhyme or reason with that. That's just what happens when we play together. You know what I mean?
Oh, right. So
it's not really
conscious sort of thing, like, right, we've got to get as flashy as possible. And
no. I mean, we did on the one before this one. We decided, I decided that I wanted to do the record that I think we should have done after Whose Advantage.
Okay.
So because I feel like Kin and then Scourge after that don't really fit with our sort of like back catalogue. They're the sort of black sheep of the family for me. I like those records. I like them, but they don't sit in a row. They're kind of, a bit of a sort of weird one. So I wanted to do that. And I think this one follows on again. So I think, if you put, there's almost like 4 Xentrix albums that like sort of sit in a row now, as far as I'm concerned, that fit nicely. The other 2, and then of course we did that little EP thing, are kind of like, a little sort of, they just, we just went in a slightly different direction, really. And,
right.
And not that I was wrong or right. It's just what happened at the time. So,
okay.
These feel like, it feels like we're back on track, really.
Well, I'm fairly certain. I say certainly for I've played it 1 or 2 times, and I'm like, oh, this is going to hit people hard. This is going to get people thinking Xentrix are back, sort of thing. Because I think, say, some of the riffs, I was like, oh yes, that's bloody good. That's really, really good. It's really heavy. And I'm, thrash has always been for me since, my first gig was 1989, going to see Anthrax. So I've grown up on that sort of late 80s, sort of 90s thrash stuff. It sounds really, really good. So I'm hopefully you're impressed with it yourselves. You're happy with it. So I was going to say, so you're heading out on this MTV Headbangers Ball tour November, is that right? Over in Europe?
Yeah. So this is a bit of a sort of a weird one though, because obviously these last 2 records are with our new singer Jay, and we got offered this Headbangers Ball tour, and we were like, yeah, this is great for us. We really look forward to it. And then he rang me up and said, I might have a bit of a problem because I've gone. My wife's pregnant, and they're like, oh, okay, right. When's she due? Like 21st of November, right?
Oh,
so we the three of us had a bit of a discussion. What should we do? Should we pull out? But we'd had loads of gigs cancelled because of COVID, so we didn't want to pull out because it felt like we were just cancelling all the time, you know. So it was like, so should we ask our old singer Chris, you know, because we're still in contact with him, you know. And it was like, do you think he'd do it? I thought, well, I don't know if he'll do like all the dates. I think he might do one or two, but I don't know if he'll do them all.
Right.
But yeah, he was like, yeah, I'll do it. But he's kind of like, but I'm just doing that. I'm not, you know, that's all I'm going to do. Like, okay. So it's kind of cool in a way that these dates are going to be like, you know, people in Europe are going to get to see more or less original, 3/4 of the original.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You know I mean? I'm quite envious now.
Yeah, so you know, we've been rehearsing for it, you know, and it's, you know, it was straight back to it. We could have done a gig that afternoon after that first rehearsal. Yeah, it was like there's no, you know,
chemistry was straight sort of there, was it?
Yeah, exactly. You know, me and him, I've known him since I was 15. So like, you know, we sort of, I learned stuff off guitar, how to play guitar off him, and he learned it off me. So there's loads of little nuances that, you know, we both do the same, and it was like it was kind of become obvious again, you know. So it was kind of cool. So yeah, we're
not sort of tempted to let him come back in full time, or did he say?
Oh no! You mean do it? I said to Jay when because it was Jay that also said, why don't you ask Chris if he'll do it? And I was like, no, he won't do it. But it, you know, I said to him, well, if he does do it, you know, we're not going to do an Anthrax. You know what
I mean? Well, strangely enough, I'm going to see Anthrax tomorrow night in Manchester, so that's going to be fun. So that's going to be an interesting one, and I believe that Joey Belladonna is finally doing one of John Bush's songs.
That's right.
Yes, only, isn't it? I think that's the only one that they're going to be singing. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes down with the crowd. Yeah. How will only go down, because John Bush has got a very distinctive voice, hasn't he?
Yeah, I've actually I think I heard it on YouTube, him doing it, you know, some way, because he's done it already, hasn't he? You know.
Yeah.
He can pull it off. He's great. You know, he's like he's an old pro, Joey, isn't he?
Isn't he? Yeah.
He's still got a great voice.
Yeah, and from somebody that, you know, I say Anthrax was my first gig. I grew up with Joey as the singer, and then John came in, and the dynamic sort of changed a bit, didn't it? But
yeah. Joey's
always for me that number one. So obviously, right. So I've got a few questions that I'm going to start asking people all the time. What's your favorite venue to play at?
The next one. Venue to play at. I the most excited I've ever been was playing Hammersmith Odeon.
Oh right, okay.
Because when I was like 19, so what I grew up. Well, I think it was something like my fourth album was No Sleep Till Hammersmith by Motorhead.
Yeah.
And that's got like the front cover, you know, it's got like that place on it, and it's like, I'm actually going to play that. That's probably the most excited. Back in the day, we always used to really like playing the Marquee as well. It wasn't the original one. It was the one on Tottenham Court Road.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
I went to that one. I used to really. They had some really good gigs, and yeah, I mean, you know, there aren't any bad gigs really. You know, I've never played like a horrendous venue. I don't think so. Anyway, none I can think of.
And what's your favourite festival to play? Obviously, there's loads around Europe. You've probably played all around the world. Do you have one that stands out for you?
Not really. I mean, we this year we got to play at Hellfest, which was a really big do.
I'd love to go there. Love to go.
Yeah, it's impressive, because they really theme everything so that everything's got this, you know, the sculptures everywhere that start spouting fire and stuff.
Yeah,
and everything's really branded. You know, even backstage, they have like these tables, and they were like in the shape of this HF Hellfest logo. You know, everything was just really on point. It was really cool. But saying that, a festival like that, you are literally on a conveyor belt.
Really?
So you just churned in. It's like you have your dressing room till this time, which is never long enough.
Oh wow.
Because there's so many bands
Yeah.
that you've just got to be right. That's that. Right, you're done. You're out. Next one's in. It's you're on the conveyor belt. But it was a great gig. We played some of the smaller ones, like really up and coming ones. We played one in Czech called Symbolic. That was really good.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a massive amount of people, but they managed to do it outside. And the smaller ones are really sort of like they look after you, and they'll somebody turn up in this like really old American A-Team van. It was really like plush inside to pick us up from the airport, And then they took us to this. There was no it was Czech. There was no hotels. It was like you're staying in this static caravan park, But it was great. We had like 2 days there, and they really looked after us, and they were really cool. And I think we're going to go back. Well, we were going to go back, and then COVID happened. But
right.
So yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. They're all good in their own way.
They're all good in their own way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So building on that, then, say you could pick 2 or 3 bands to go out on tour with. What would be like your dream lineup of a tour?
That's a very tricky one. I suppose it would probably be someone like Testament.
Yeah,
would be a great headline for us to go out with. If I could get somebody back from the dead, or not to say from the dead, other than they're not dead, but they're not going.
Yeah,
it would be Forbidden.
Oh yeah,
I really like. They're one of my favorite thrash bands.
Excellent.
Who else? You need one more, and we'd open. I suppose you could have. I suppose Xentrix. Xentrix would be a great one for us, wouldn't they?
Did you ever get to play with any of these? Back in the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh no, probably. We played with Testament back in the day, and we got to do a tour with Annihilator. I know they're not one of the big 4, but we never got to do obviously any of the Metallica or the Slayer or the Anthrax gigs or the Megadeth, which we would have obviously loved to. That would have been amazing. But
yeah. Now, I can remember seeing you at the Ritz in about April 2013. But I can't remember for the life of me who you were supporting that
Creator.
Gig. Was that the Creator? Oh, Creator, of course.
Yeah, it was us. Go on. Us, Evil, and Creator.
That's it. I couldn't remember. I was racking my brain thinking, right, I know you were first or second on, weren't you, I think?
We were first on, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember thinking, oh, it was bloody brilliant seeing Xentrix back on stage. But I couldn't remember who Creator, that's right. Yeah. But that was my reintroduction again. It's like, oh, Xentrix are back, sort of thing. It was great seeing you on stage. And you looked as if you were all enjoying it. That was the main thing that I took from that.
Oh, that's good, because we do enjoy it. In fact, if we didn't enjoy it, we wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
It is literally our only sort of thing that we get out of it is that we still like I mean I was the youngest in original Xentrix, and I'm now 52, so it's like we're all getting on a bit. But it seems everybody is that way from that sort of like I worry that there's not enough of the younger ones coming through. There is younger thrash bands, there is, don't get me wrong, and some great ones. But there's still a lot of the older bands around, of my age group and above.
That's true. That's true.
Like this tour we're doing, with Violence and Whiplash and Artillery.
Yeah.
I was thinking, how many people are in per band? I was thinking probably the combined age of everyone on this tour is probably about 1,000 years.
I saw the lineup and I was like, wow, yeah, that's some proper old school stuff there, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I know there's not some of those. I mean, I think Violence have only got a couple of original members, haven't they? Because Demo's not playing.
Yeah.
And I think I can't remember how many Whiplash you've got. I think they're only a 3-piece, aren't they? I think they've only got one anyway. Original, maybe it's 2. So yeah, there's a few. We have to wheel in a few young. So our bass player was 4 when our first album came out. You know?
Oh, I bet that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, no, he's all right. He slots in all right, you know. But he's the young whippersnapper that we can put it out there, you know. So it's quite cool.
With obviously bands and stuff, it kind of leads me on to my next sort of question. What's your favorite current band? Who are you currently listening to, and do they inspire you in any sort of way? You think, oh, that's a really good riff.
I kind of chop and change. Sometimes I'll have a spell of listening to something new, and then I'll just go way back, and I'll just put like Rainbow on or something, you know. And I'll be like, when about MSG, and we're going right back to when I started.
Yeah.
I really like Arch Enemy. I really like Mike Hart's guitar playing. He's great. He's a really good guitar player. I like his.
Now I'm seeing them on Friday night at the Apollo with Behemoth and Carcass, but I've never been a big fan, so I'm intrigued to see what they're like live. I'm going to go in mind. Yeah.
If you want a recommendation Arch Enemy album for me, it's Wages of Sin, which is one of their older ones.
Right.
But check that out. Some really great. I mean, you know, it depends if you like that style of vocal or not. But I really like, you know, I like the guitar playing, the riffs on that are like top notch.
Okay.
Who else do I like? Controversially, I like Ghost. A lot of people don't like Ghost.
Love them. Yeah, seen them countless times. Yeah, saw them on the last tour. Brilliant.
I didn't like Ghost when they came out, and I was like convinced that I wasn't going to like them. I think I was at Bloodstock when they headlined Bloodstock, and I didn't watch them. I was stood at the bar going, I don't like this. This is rubbish. And then just one album just turned me, and it was like, then, you know, I was like, we should have watched them now.
Yeah.
You know? So I've been obviously I've stopped listening to their new album because I'm starting to get a bit sick of it because I had it on too much.
Overplaying, yeah.
Who else? I'm going to look at my phone.
Yeah, it's just interesting to know who you like at the minute, you know, and it's always good to know these things.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of In Flames. I really like them as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, I like the guitar player. I like Bjorn a lot. I think he's really tasteful. And his lead stuff's like he can say a lot with like 3 notes.
Yeah,
which is impressive. What else have I been listening to? See, I got on here and it's just like show me Dio. Dio at Donington '83, which I was at. That was my first Donington, my first festival.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I was 14.
Oh,
and it was Diamond Head Dio, Twisted Sister, Meatloaf, ZZ Top, and White Snake. Yeah.
Wow, that's a first gig, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't first gig; it was first festival.
First festival, sorry. Yeah, first festival.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, Dio that's what I was all about. Dio then, you know, it was like, impressed with that.
Mine was the 1991 when it was Metallica, AC/DC,
right?
Queensryche, and Black Crowes. That was, and I would just left school at 16, and that was my first. Monsters of Rock, you've got to go, sort of thing. And that was
the first one. That was the first one I didn't go to.
Oh, was it?
So I went to them all from '83 up to then.
Yeah.
And that one, it was because it was my cousin's wedding, and I was like, like,
and you missed it. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a cracking fed. That was a really good fun day out. I'd say as a 16-year-old going into that, I was like, what is this world sort of thing, isn't it? And it's
yes.
But I think those experiences, and I think as somebody that's in a band, you've probably taken that experience with you over the years. When you're on the other side, you're on the stage being watched, you give the people what they want, isn't it?
Well, hopefully, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a different experience back then. That the festivals were more. I mean, you know, it was one stage.
Yeah.
You know, that was the lineup. That's what you watched. There was nothing else to go and do.
True.
You know.
Yeah, that's true.
That's probably why there was like massive bottle fights. You know. Like...
yeah. Yeah, I do remember watching that the first time thinking, what's going on? I just didn't have a clue what was. I think it was going on during Metallica set. There, all these bottles were going everywhere. It was like, right, I just want to make sure I don't get hit.
There was, I remember being stood with Chris, our original singer, and he literally just turned around and just got an apple in the eye.
Oh no!
Yeah, it was like it just came flying. It was like bang! It was like a cricket ball, you know, hit him in the eye. He was like, he just stood there and went, "That really hurt."
and I bet it's something you never ever let him forget, do you?
No, Christ, yeah.
Obviously, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to
Havard. Oh, thanks.
I wish you every success with the new album. I'll say, from a personal point of view, I think it's superb. I really enjoyed listening to it.
Good, thanks. I mean, people ask us about this, you know, like, do you worry about what people think of it? And it's like, well, you can't worry about it because we make the music we make. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, exactly. That's it. Sorry, you know.
Exactly.
So
yeah. And
it'll be nice. Obviously, I do want people to like it, obviously.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I will get to see you when you next tour the UK. I assume it'll be next year sometime.
Yeah, we've got one UK gig before the end. We're playing in Cardiff at Eradication Fest. I think it's a festival that was cancelled and moved. Right. It's like an all-dayer at somewhere called Fuel, I think, in Cardiff. I've never been.
Yeah, that's a good little club there. Yeah.
I think it's there. So we've got that. That's just like the week before the Headbangers Ball. So we are gonna do that with Jay.
Yeah,
hopefully. And and then he's having a couple of weeks off while we go around Europe with Chris. So.
Excellent stuff. Excellent. Well, I say thank you very much, and I say I look forward to seeing you out on tour, hopefully sometime next year. Thanks for listening. Make sure you keep up to date with future episodes by subscribing to our channels. For more information on this podcast, or for all the latest music news, reviews, interviews, and more, head over to our website, www.therazorsedge.rocks.